Hey guys, Jedi5 here. I am going to unbox these shoes that I'm fixing the EL panel for. Like I said in one of my videos, I only have a couple EL panels that I bought for myself, but I had one extra, and a guy who asked me several months ago to fix his shoes finally sent me his shoe. It's the left shoe, I believe, and so I'm just going to open it, and then everybody's been wanting a tutorial on how to fix the EL, and I've done it for my shoe and one other shoe for someone else, so I know how to do it. And my dog's barking in the background. So let's just see what's going on here. I don't know if it's charged or not. No, it's not charged. Let me I have my charge port here, or charge plug rather. Let's just see how plug it in. Well, that's interesting. Okay, so it was so dead that it won't even stay on. There. Anyways, you can probably see that that front EL panel is out. Now, I'm wondering, I'm gonna have to let this charge for a little bit, and then I'll come back and just so I can have it stay on for a bit before I open it up. All right. All right, so I've plugged them in, got them charged up a little bit, so they're holding a charge at this point. They might go off, I don't know. The battery might have been a little bit cold from being in transport, but you can see this is a pretty common thing that happens is the back pod, this little piece breaks in the middle and disconnects the front pod from the rear. So I'm going to open this up. I'm going to try to do it on camera, but basically it's a very simple process of just getting a very sharp X-Acto knife. And you go, I usually start right at the top of this, and you just kind of go through and just bit by bit kind of cut away, making sure you don't cut the midsole and you're not cutting the rubber. And by midsole, I mean you don't want to cut this part, you want to cut down in between and kind of pry it away. So I'll try to show you that as I do it. Another thing that's kind of interesting about this pair, which the owner didn't know, but if I squeeze back here, the EL kind of flickers on and off. Try to see if I can get it to do it. So there might be a loose wire. This is where the charge port is. So I'm just gonna undo that real quick. Let me see if I can get it to, yeah, it's not doing it, but I'm gonna have to open this open this up. And what I'm gonna do with that is, as I've done before, again, just taking the X-Acto knife and cutting it very, very cleanly along the edge, right in there, all the way around down here, and then cut it and pry it open. So I'll try to do that on camera as well. Okay, so I'm gonna start cutting this open. Now I'm gonna try to do it on camera as best as I can. But the one thing you want to do that I always, it's on everything, is just take your time. So first I'm going to see if I can get this, kind of get the knife in between the rubber sole and the midsole, and just do a light score all along. Now this is a very sharp X-Acto knife, so it can cut the rubber and the foam midsole, and I don't want it to cut the rubber. So I'm just kind of running the blade along only maybe 1/8 of an inch in, just to start the separation of the rubber to the midsole. Just ever so slowly. See, so as you can see, I'm really taking my time. And let me see if I can position this camera a little bit better. Let me see if I can stack it up and because as I do it, I'm going to be prying away. Sometimes it's good to have, I usually get like a little butter knife because it's blunt and it's strong. So I'm just going to kind of, what I'm doing is I'm kind of wedging this in between here, and then I'm cutting at the same time. So let me see if I can get that on camera. This is all trial and error, sorry guys. Wish I had a better angle, but yeah, let me see if I can try to cut it. And all right, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get this started, and all I'm doing is cutting very ever so slightly, just in this little arc right here, from here to here, from here to here, and just cutting. I'm going to start cutting, trimming down till I can get my wedge the knife down below this, and then I'll show you. Okay. Okay. So I've been literally this only took me about 45 seconds from the last clip, but I just started trimming it, and you can see that it's just you can see that's the EL panel opening under there, and I'm just trimming bit by bit, you know, and keep kind of wedging it back, trim, wedge it back, trim, and I'm going to do that all the way to back here, all the way to here, and then I'll start over here and do the same thing until I meet up, until I get all the way over there. It's pretty simple, but just time consuming. So I'll show you when I'm got that far. Okay, so after about 5 minutes or so, I've got this pretty much trimmed. I'll probably trim it a little bit further back, but it's okay to stretch it. You're not going to tear this. This is really fairly durable. You want to just get this, you know, stretched back as far as you can. But you can see, as just from my cut marks, you can see that it's just a trim. As I'm, you know, as I'm pulling back on the rubber, I'm just trimming, cutting until I can, you know, move this back. And then I did the same thing going, as I said, to the this little down turn, and now I'm starting on this part. So I get the knife in under that a little bit, pull the rubber back, and now I'm going to start to trim that, moving this way, and then until I meet up here, and then the whole thing will open up. Okay, so I'll show you that. Okay, so now I have this all cut away or trimmed back, and I can basically see the EL panel sitting in a little kind of cutout in the midsole. You can see what the weak point is and why. Gosh dang it, it's not. I hate this iPhone. It's freaking. There you go. So you can see that it's bent right there. That's not supposed to be bent. It's supposed to look like this. It's supposed to be flat. I laminated this one just for extra strength, but that should be flat right there, not bent. And it should take some bending before it breaks, so it's probably just one of the weak points in the shoe. Anyway, so now that's all open, I'm going to pry the EL out of here. And just like this one, those wires are right about here, and they go into the sole. So I'll pry this out, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so now you can see that I've pried it up, and you can see how that just slots under there. So now what I have to do is, inside the shoe, I am now going to open up the base of the shoe, and let me get some better light. So I've taken the insole out. It just comes out really easily. And what I now have to do is, what is exposed is this white fabric that's sewn onto the gray. I don't want to cut that stitching because that's what's holding this gray to the sole. So what I'm going to do is, just inside of on the white part, cut around the perimeter with my X-Acto knife very carefully, not going too deep, because right under here in the back of the shoe and on the LED side, on this side, are wires that run from this and this down into this little cavity right here. So I'm just going to trim it very, very lightly. You don't have to cut too deep just because it's only a piece of fabric. So it should be pretty simple for you guys to do. And I'll show you what that looks like once I have it cut and opened. Okay, so I have a headlamp on so I can maybe get a little bit better lighting. So as you can see, what I've done is I just cut very carefully around the perimeter. I haven't pried it up yet, but I just started to just get the butter knife underneath where that slit is, pull back a little bit, and then just get your fingers in there and pull up. So I'm doing this with one hand while I film, so it's a little tricky. But see how it's just kind of glued down a little bit. So then you can see the wires. See how they're right there and they're right over here. And then there's some connectors. Those are the connectors that go to the electronics board in the back of the shoe, and also just connect them to the LED and the battery. The battery is, let's step back a little bit more. Sorry, I'm trying to figure this out here. So the battery is underneath that black casing right there. Sorry, I'm trying to get the light so you can see it. Under that black casing is where the battery sits. But I'm not going to touch the battery on this one. All I'm going to do is disconnect the EL connector so I can pull the EL panel out, right? Which I think is the number, they're numbered 3, 4, and 5, and I believe number 4 is the EL panel, if I'm correct. Okay, so I put the new EL panel in. So all you do is once it's opened, this sitting in there, you just pull it out, grab it so you have it somewhat secured by, so this doesn't just rip off from the panel, and you just pull it out, and then this little piece will be stuck in there, and all you do is you just kind of pry it out. And there's that slit that I showed you is big enough where it'll pop out, but you just have to use some force. Now, pretend this is the panel I'm putting in. I start by just the reverse process. I put this into that little slot first. It only goes in so far. Then I take the butter knife. I know it's a little primitive, but once that's in the slot, I just kind of push it through, using the butter knife on the inside. It pops through right there. Then you just pull it through, connect it to the connector, and then all you have to do now is re-glue this closed. So you can see this now lights up. New EL panel in there. Now I just have to re-glue that closed, and the EL panel is done. Okay, here they are, all done. EL is in, wires pushed through, the panel's situated to where I want it to be. The last thing you do is just take some glue. I like the Loctite super glue. Do about a 3/4 of an inch here, 3/4 of an inch here, 3/4 of an inch here, meaning just run a bead about that far to about that far to about that far. When you're here, you stop, start for the back, go up to about here, maybe go up to about here, and then the last one you just do a really long section, because if you don't and you kind of get to here and you have it glued here and glued here, it's very hard to get the glue in that little space. So I always just kind of do one last long portion of it. So that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. People are going to ask me where I got the EL panels. I got them from David's website, the sneakerahead.ru, and he had them for sale a few months ago. I don't know if he is or has them anymore. So I don't have enough for anybody else, just enough for my pair. So sorry guys, but I'd love to see your fix if you do it. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.